Thank you very much for having us on this conference and being able to present some of our findings from the recent years. I will just jump into the matter, so not being too personal about things, but it's really, really exciting for us. So what you can expect of the short talk is that I just share some basic considerations about what pedagogical quality means for our research and the instrument how that we use to do systematic observation on pedagogical quality, because this gives you an idea what is happening behind the scenes of those data that I will present in the end, and some conclusions that I will draw from that. Okay, what is pedagogical quality? I would suggest there are two different ways to think about it. One way, which is very common in pedagogic, is that pedagogical quality features teaching, coaching that prove coaches' behavior match to pedagogical values. This is a very important point of view. A lot of pedagogical values are high value, creating a supportive, caring environment, safeguard against harmful influences and detrimental development conditions, for example. But there's also another view of pedagogical quality, because if you do some kind of educational endeavor, you always have goals. And how good are you at attaining these goals? Pedagogical quality in this view, as an empirical question, is features what teachers and coaches do, how they behave, and support attaining learning and developmental gains. For example, in sports, we want to see learning and performance gains. We want to see personal, social, emotional growth, and we want long-term engagement, as we heard a few minutes ago. So we could think this is about pedagogical values, and we have this to discuss ethics, and this is about effective coaching. We have to look what is the evidence. And I want to introduce you to two things that we considered a lot. The first is, how do people and do we think about pedagogical quality? Is it something that is really near and related to specific kinds of sports? We do a lot of workshops for coaches on pedagogical quality, and in general, these workshops gather certain kinds of sports, coaches from gymnastics, from rhythmic gymnastics, coaches from handball or judo. And when we begin with a workshop, we ask them what is their view on pedagogical quality, and we gather those ideas and concepts on a virtual blackboard. And I will show you one of them from one workshop. And what I want you to do is not to look, is this your opinion too? But I want you to figure out what kind of sports did those coaches who contributed with that, what kind of sports did they come from? Just have a quick look. I think you will have a hard time to guess what kind of sport this is. And this is something that I want to point out, that even practitioners in general don't think of issues and behaviors that are strongly related only to their specific sports. But we think pedagogical quality in terms that are subject matter unrelated, independent, overarching ideas of being good at pedagogical behaviors. This is one idea. The other issue that we are working on is observing and evaluating training sessions. Is it easy or is it hard to do? We did a little experiment this semester. We had 81 bachelor and master students from our university studying sports science or physical education. We had them assess a 13-minute video clip and to find out what their assessments would be. And they have 3 or 4 years of studying in sports science and PE, and maybe you think they have some elaborated background, digested a lot of theory, and so they might come up with some reasonable and good assessments. We asked them, for example, the climate in this training session was positive, and they could answer with a 7, yes, I totally agree, or with a 1, I totally disagree, and choose every number in between. And the idea now is, why I'm presenting it to you, is not what is the right number, but look at the columns. Look at the columns. That's for positive climate, which should be a bit easier than other things to observe. The tasks were interesting, rich in variety, and motivating. That's what their assessment was. Instructional support. Instructional support, for example, feedback, was successful. That's what their assessment was. So maybe you you see why a lot of years ago, when I was assessing pedagogical quality and talent development schools and for the Gymnastics Federation, I hesitated a lot, and I was asking myself, where can I get, how can I get to reliable assessments that doesn't reflect only what I think about pedagogical quality, but what is valid and what is reliable. I was looking for an reliable and valid evidence-based instrument, and I found something. I came across the classroom assessment scoring system because it offers 2 things. It chooses what to look for when you observe what works, and it tells you what do different levels look like. So these are the cornerstones for having a reliable and valid measurement. I have to introduce you just a bit into the instrument. You've seen the blackboard, a lot of items on the blackboard. So pedagogical quality is really complex with a lot of things to consider. And so the instrument, unfortunately, is really complex. It contains 3 overarching domains: emotional quality, the emotional quality of relationships within the training group or between coaches and athletes are considered here. How you manage the group, that's this classroom organization, and how you support learning with feedback and instruction. This is instructional support. But to observe it, you have to be far more concrete, and there are 3 steps to being more concrete. The next step is dimensions. You see, emotional support consists of positive climate, negative climate, sensitivity and regard for children's perspective, but each dimension consists of a bunch of indicators, and I show you what positive climate is about in this instrument. And there you can see that we just come near to a level where we can observe. We can observe pedagogical quality in action. How much smiling, laughter, enthusiasm is there. How many verbal affection, physical affection, and positive expectation can we see in the behavior of the coach? And this is the core idea here, to have broad ideas and bring it down to observable behavior markers. This is teacher or coach sensitivity. The core idea is the coach a secure base or a safe haven for children and athletes? And to be a safe haven or a secure base, he has to anticipate problems and plan appropriately, notice lack of understanding, happen effectively in timely manner. And you can see this when students seek support and guidance freely and take risk. Okay, and there is a black side on a dark side of pedagogical quality. This is tapped in this instrument too. You see here negative behaviors. Okay, so you have an idea, I think, what we do when we observe and assess, and we found that coaches were very interested by all these indicators, because indicators and behavioral markers, they didn't not only give him broad ideas, but give him ideas, what can I do in practice to get better at pedagogical quality. So we constructed 3 modules: a face-to-face teaching module, an online library, video library, and a module which contains an individualized online coaching. So now I come to the findings. You have an idea what's behind, and I show you findings from 229 cycles. That means 20 minutes sequence of training of 76 coaches in gymnastics, rhythmic gymnastics, judo, and handball. Their licenses were from no licenses to the highest license available in Germany. The age was from 20 to 59. And here are our findings. There's a lot of work went in that because every single assessment was double coded and coders were blinded. So you see a mean and the range. So there are coaches really excellent. They got a 6 or 7 on positive climate. They got a 1, that means nothing, on negative climate. They really were acting as a secure base or safe haven for their kids. But you see a lot of differences. And this is what we see, individual differences between coaches. And you see coaches don't have too much problems with classroom management. Their behavior management is quite well, and the productivity, that means the use of time in training, is quite well, but we have a lot of problems on the quality of feedback. Now, maybe I have the opportunity to compare leisure and talent development, and you have an interest in this, these findings too. And I just want to have just a broad look at it. And you see there are no really differences in elite development groups and leisure time groups. There are coaches in elite groups that are really good at pedagogical qualities in their behaviors. And there is a broad range in talent development groups as well as in leisure groups. You see, leisure groups here have even a lower positive climate sometimes as talent development groups. I think that my time is really up now? Was it reliable what we did? Just for the researchers of you, all observers were certified class observers. We recertify each year. All cycles were double coded, coders were blinded, and all coaches were coded at least for 2 or 3 cycles. And this was what our iterator agreement. You see, in most cases, we are beyond 90% of agreement. The conclusions. First of all, I think you've seen that observation and assessment needs clear instruments and well-trained observers. This is really something we have to pay attention to. We have a broad range of pedagogical quality, especially in emotional support and instructional support, in talent development groups, as well as in leisure time groups. We have excellent pedagogical quality, sometimes in talent development, and these are not the less successful coaches. We have less evidence for regard for child perspective, what means that the support for need of autonomy is high. There's a thing that coaches have to pay more attention to. We have less evidence overall for quality of feedback. And management of training groups was in general of a high quality. I thank you so much for having us on our conference. Thanks for joining us and stay safe.